Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Dr. Merritt Kreidel, who is in charge of the Dermatology Department and Cosmetic Services for Kaiser Permanente. Well, welcome. It's so nice to meet you.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me today.
You're welcome. And of course, we are going to be talking about a subject that many of us, I think no matter what age, although now after 50, I think we're all thinking about it. So super happy to talk to you about mature skin, what we can do about it, and some of the things that we should be aware of. But before we do that, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I am a dermatologist here in Kaiser Permanente, Orange County. I have been working here for 10 years. I am a local Southern California girl, so I know sort of the trials and tribulations that many of you have experienced with growing up at the beach and having had lots of sun exposure. I'm really passionate about dermatology and about skincare in particular, and just very excited to get to be a part of this. I also do some of our cosmetics in our department. So I know sometimes those are things that people are wondering about and what's good, what can be helpful at different ages. So we'll discuss some of that today too.
All right, that's wonderful. Now, I did not realize that Kaiser Permanente has a department like this. Can you tell me kind of an overview of what you guys do?
Sure. So we started maybe about 5 years ago a cosmetic department in order to meet the needs of the patients who are asking for really simple things, asking to have skin tags removed. These are things that come with age. So skin tags that we get on the neck, under the arms, little growths that some people call barnacles, these rough, stuck on gray barnacles, for lack of a better word. And many patients would say, I wouldn't even mind paying. I just want to have an avenue to remove them. So years ago, we started this, and it's a subdivision of our medical dermatology department. It's staffed by our Kaiser Permanente dermatologists like myself. So it's an opportunity for patients to come in and really stay within the Kaiser Permanente system if they've found providers that they trust, instead of just going out into Yelp and trying to find someone. In addition to those simple procedures, we also do more advanced things like laser, we do Botox, we do fillers, and we have an esthetician as well. So it's really exploded in the past few years and has been a really successful program. No referral is needed. It is a self-refer program.
Wow. Well, wow, this is definitely news to me. I'm actually so surprised because it seems very rare that you would have a hospital or a system like Kaiser Permanente that would reach out into this division. Usually you would have to go to a specified dermatology office to get any of this done, especially the fact that you guys are doing Botox and you're doing lasers. So do you actually have like the CO2 lasers and things like that?
So we have a pulse dye laser, and that is a laser that is used we use it medically for children and adults who are born with disfiguring birthmarks, but that is the same laser that can be used to treat a lot of people as they get older, get little blood vessels right around the creases of the nose, on the nose, and onto the cheeks, and their broken capillaries. That same laser can be used cosmetically to treat those blood vessels. We also have a laser called an intense pulse light that does, it's like a photofacial. So a lot of patients with sun damage will treat their entire face or their entire face, neck, and chest. And it's something that can really minimize the appearance of the sun damage that many of us will eventually experience.
Right. Now you did mention Botox. Do you also do fillers?
We do both. We have two locations where we do this, in North Orange County and South Orange County. Our South Orange County is done in Irvine at our Barranca facility, and our North Orange County is in our Anaheim office, which will be moving to Yorba Linda in the fall.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, good. So North and South, that's perfect. Now, you did say it was self-referral. So, but they still need to have an appointment, correct?
They do need to have an appointment, and we have a specialized private phone number where we have just our cosmetic staff doing this. So you don't have to do this through the call center. We have a dedicated line. And also with the esthetician, it's free to have a consultation with one of our 2 estheticians just to go over skincare regimen as well.
Perfect. Well, that's a perfect segue into what I'm going to ask you next. Now, of course, as you mentioned, we have older skin that we need to worry about a lot of different things that are just happening because of age. But then let's the capillaries and things like that. And now let's talk about actual skin. Many of us are trying to keep moisture back in our skin because many women go through, menopause, and it's depleting their system of estrogen. So it's really causing a lot of haywire with our skin. So tell me a little bit about some of the things that we need to look for as we're aging, and then maybe some things that you would recommend.
Sure. So, as you mentioned, moisture is a big thing. And I think if I could only emphasize one thing for aging or mature skin and what we can do to help with that, it would be moisturization. And there's a lot of myth out there that drinking water will help to plump up the skin. Drinking water is super and it helps to keep our body hydrated, but it really doesn't hydrate the skin. It has to be done topically. So I don't want to dissuade people from drinking water, but that in itself is not enough. So we really need to take care of the skin from the inside out. And from the inside out, that's things like eating healthy. So focusing more on fruits and vegetables, getting a variety of colors, that will help with the tone and texture of the skin. But it's not enough just to do that. So from the outside in, the moisturization is really important as part of our daily routine. And so after showering, every time we take a shower, especially as we get older, just the day-to-day routine of putting water onto our skin and letting it evaporate dries the skin out. And many of us are not in the habit of moisturizing our body head to toe, but we should be. So every day after we come out of the shower, we should pat dry and use a thick moisturizer. So the thicker, the better. If it's something we sort of scoop out with our hands, that's like a thick cream, that means that it has more of an oil-based property as opposed to a water. If you can just pump it out and it comes out really runny, we're not doing as much to hydrate the skin. So using a thick cream all over, head all the way down to the toes is helpful. And then there are some specific products that are better for the face to, there is a reason that there are eye creams that are made just for the sensitive skin around the eyes to prevent clogging of the pores, face creams that have things like hyaluronic acid and niacinamide in them that help. And for the body, one of the biggest things is finding a cream that has ceramides in it. So what happens as we get older, we have layers of the skin, and the ceramides are sort of like the glue to our skin. If we imagine our cells are like bricks and the ceramides are like the mortar. And if you just had a pile of bricks with no mortar between them, they sort of disintegrate. And those ceramides, that mortar starts to diminish as we get older, particularly on our legs. So a lot of us will notice my legs are just always dry. They have now created creams that are widely available over the counter that have ceramides in them to help replenish that missing ingredient that happens as we get older.
Well, that's really good to know. Now, I want to go back to the creams that you mentioned, something heavy and thick. Isn't it, well, this could be a myth for all I know, but mineral oil, isn't that something we're supposed to stay away from?
Yeah, so, it's interesting to me that in skin, these things trend and go in circles of it's bad for us, it's good for us, it's bad for us, it's good for us. Same things happens with health, like eggs, it's like, are eggs good or bad? I don't know. But with the skin, the same things will happen with things like mineral oil. What about powders? Are some of the powders then going to be a problem for us? So the mineral oil, I would say in the concentrations that are used, the mineral oil is okay if it's used within a cream. And often it's in petroleum too, is something that is okay to be mixed with the other ingredients. But that brings up a point for some people who are really trying to stay with clean products. Maybe they don't want anything with parabens or preservatives. Patients often ask me, what are the natural products that I can use? Not all oils are equal. So if you do want to stick with something natural, the 2 best for your skin would be coconut oil or a cold pressed sesame oil or sunflower oil. Things to not use are things like olive oil. That's actually irritating to the skin.
Okay. Interesting that you said all of those different oils, because I know many people who do use just the virgin coconut oil straight out of the jar from
Yeah,
many of our grocery stores. And that
exactly.
seems to work really well, like you mentioned, right after the shower. So that's really great information. Now let's kind of go down the path a little more medically, is involved cancer. Now, skin cancer, here in Southern California, I'm sure is highly, happens quite a bit. So, what are some things that we need to take a look at?
So I think the first thing is recognizing, what are the things that put us at risk, and then how do we prevent or reduce that risk further, and then what's the best way to detect. So things that have put us at risk are the things we know, sun exposure over time, sunburns, having fair skin, but those things really increase our risk of the two most common skin cancers, basal cell and squamous cell. Those two skin cancers are very linked to sun exposure. Melanoma, which is the big one that many of us, worry about because it can be a more aggressive type of a skin cancer, is not always linked to sun. So it's important to know that when we're checking our body, we really need to check our whole body and not say, well, I've never had sun on my legs, I don't need to look there. We do, because not all skin cancer is related to sun.
Mm.
As far as, minimizing our risk, certainly sun protection will help. But again, in that same vein, staying out of the sun does not completely eliminate our risk of having skin cancer. But using a sunscreen SPF 50 or higher, wearing UV protective clothing, I've actually moved more in that realm to doing more UV protective clothing, staying in the shade, to minimize risk. And there has been a lot of controversy about, what about routine skin screenings? Is that important for early detection? And the US Preventive Task Force has looked at this and said, no, actually, just doing a general screening, if you come in and you've had no history of skin cancer, that doesn't really change your mortality or affect your overall outcome with skin cancer. And the reason makes sense, because if you think about it, if you come once a year and you just count on me to be the person to detect your skin cancer, if you get a skin cancer the day after you see me and you're not paying attention, then you had it for nearly 12 months. So it's really the self-screen that is important. And whether you have a lot of moles and a lot of growths on your skin or just a few, it's important that when we come out of the shower, it doesn't have to be done every day, but that we take an inventory of what we have on our own body and then follow up on something that might be new or changing. Often your primary care can address this. They can send a picture to one of the dermatologists for us to check it out. And certainly if it's something that should be treated, we can follow that. And I have a lot of people say, I don't have a partner to be able to look at my back. Use your mirror. We really have to find ways to be proactive with our own care. If you do have somebody in the home, you can use them to help to kind of keep track. Some people take photos now that our photos are all on our cell phone. That's another helpful way to keep track of what we have on our own body.
Right. Well, excellent advice and great information. I'm out of time, but I certainly want to talk to you in the future, because we didn't get to talk about bruising, and I really do want to do that next time. So I hope that you'll be able to join us again.
Be happy to come back. Lots of things to talk about with the skin.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the information.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.